Oh, here we go again. It's back. Yesterday it was 60, and today it's 27. Oh boy, birds are still singing. I'll bet they can't wait for spring to get here either. Cold out there, huh, puppies? Let's make a breakfast sandwich. Bread from Aldi's. So it's really cold out there today. Very, very cold. Once again, our hopes for spring are vanquished for another day. So this morning for breakfast, I thought I would have an egg and cheese sandwich. One of my favorites. I'm just having it with some Miracle Whip from Dollar Tree. I kind of like the smaller containers because sometimes as a single person it takes you forever to get through a bigger jar. So I'm having it with some American cheese today. American cheese is one of my favorites. I know there's a whole lot of fancier cheeses out there, which I like too, but I still enjoy American cheese. So I make these eggs in my egg cooker. If you don't have one, they're really nice. So there we go. Just have some eggs. And of course, the puppies need some eggs too. They love eggs. So very simply, just going to add some salt and pepper. I like salt. And we do have to have some salt, so it's not good not to have any salt. Salt helps regulate a lot of systems. Some lettuce here. And some spinach. My greens. and they love their greens too. So we share. We share our greens, don't we, pup? Yes, we do. So there we go. They love lettuce. Okay, so that'll be my breakfast for this morning. Egg and cheese with some lettuce. Trying to eat a little healthier. And I think everything on here is low FODMAP. And then this is for the puppies, because they love American cheese too. Come on. There you are. Okay. It was a good breakfast today, huh? All right, so before I have my sandwich, I'm going to have my ginger tea with a teaspoon of honey. And then here I have 2 slippery elm capsules and 2 marshmallow root capsules. I'll take that first, and then I'll have my sandwich. Trying to heal up my stomach. All right, well, today I wanted to talk a little bit about growing older and some of the challenges, some of the perks of growing older. One of them, the biggest one, of course, is you can retire and you don't have to have a boss anymore. So yay, that is the best perk ever. Another thing I want to do today is share with you some of the supplements that I take. And but please do your own research. This is a disclaimer. Just do your own research. And another thing, one of the best things of growing older is to be grateful. To be grateful to God that He's put you on this beautiful, beautiful blue marble planet to enjoy all the pleasures of life and to embrace all the pleasures of life. And that is another wonderful perk of growing older, is taking the pleasures and doing everything that you want to do with your life and in your life. So without further ado, let's look at some of the supplements that I take. And like I said, do your own research. Well, good morning. Cheers, I'm having my special tea, and I'm trying it. I started it yesterday, and what it does, it coats the stomach, and it's a tablespoon of aloe vera, a teaspoon of honey, and you steep like a 1/2-inch piece of ginger, and then you have slippery elm with that, and also marshmallow root, and all of those coat your stomach. So I'm trying to heal up my stomach naturally, but I also right now I'm taking omeprazole too, but I want to get off of that as soon as I can. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about, I have a little sip here, growing older. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about it. Do we grow old gracefully? Remember that commercial? I don't intend to grow old gracefully. I intend to fight it every step of the way. So do we age gracefully, or do we fight it every step of the way? Well, my approach is sort of midline. I know there's some things about my health, about my abilities to do things that are just going to change. That's just the way it is. And no matter what your age, things change. Things that you could do, even young people, when they were really young, they can't do anymore. And sometimes people, you know, that can do things, they just keep on going and doing those things. But even that changes. So I wanted to go over some of the things that I've learned to adjust and still, and still remain happy and healthy. Now, for the most part, I'm healthy, but I do have my issues with arthritic pain, like many of us do, with the fibromyalgia, which is not a fun thing to deal with, the stomach issues. But when I go and have blood tests done, and I've had CT scans done, and x-rays, and everything appears to be in decent shape. I have a cardiologist that I see every now and then, and I guess my heart is in okay shape. Now, I've been a vegetarian for at least a dozen years, and I was never a big meat eater. Before that, I was kind of a low-fat gal. I didn't use a lot of oils to cook with. I don't eat a lot of fried foods. I use my air fryer a lot. So my biggest thing is I do use some prepared foods, you know, the vegan meats, but I don't eat those every day. I eat those once in a while. So my approach to life anyway is sort of a midline. You know, I don't swing too far this way or too far that way. So I wanted to go over some of the supplements that I take. Now, don't do as I do or do as I say. Do your own research. I'm just telling you what works for me, and I'm still trying to figure this out. So what I'm trying to figure out is something to lessen pain from arthritis or the fibro. I'm trying to heal up my stomach, so that's something I'm working on. I'm trying to not get sick, so I take supplements to boost my immunity. And what else? I think that about covers it. So let me tell you some of the supplements that I take. And I hate taking pills. I don't stick with it if I have to take a handful of pills every day. So what I've done is, and I know it's a little more expensive, but I don't care. As long as it works for me, I don't mind spending a little extra money. So I've gone to gummies. That's, you know, my supplements are in gummy form. And some of them I get at Walmart, some of them I get at Aldi's, and it's almost like a treat for me because I really like gummies. So let me show you what I take. So I take this K2 plus D3. Vitamin D is very important, and the K2 helps get the, I think it's calcium out of the blood and into your bones. And I do have osteoporosis, so I'm trying to work on that. And this I get at Walmart, and it's around $6. Now, I don't know all the prices of these, so, you know, you can go online and check it out. So, now these vitamins I got on Amazon, and they're Nutrimin vitamins, and the reason I pick these is because they are not made with gelatin. So we used to have a lady in the nursing home. She was over 100, and the only thing she took was a vitamin every day. She had a little tiny thing. So I want to eventually get to just probably taking a vitamin. But these are kind of on the expensive side. So now when these are gone, I'm going to try Aldi's brand. Now Aldi's brand of supplements, they all run about, I think, between $6 and $9, so they're very reasonable. So I take these. I take magnesium. These are also gummies. First of all, I take it because magnesium is very important to run your nerves, your muscles. Very important supplement. So I get these actually at Mark's. And I think this was around $6 too. And another reason I take magnesium is to help with any constipation issues that I might have going on with the IBS. So I take that. Then I also take one extra B12. I mean, these have B12 in them, but I take an extra one because B12, you kind of pee it out. So I take a B12, just one. Calls for 2, but since I'm already taking a multi, I just take 1. And I also take 1 or 2 extra vitamin D capsules, since I already take the K2 plus D, and there's D in here, so I don't want to overdo it. So I usually take 1 extra vitamin D. Then, now they say you shouldn't take zinc and magnesium at the same time. You want to space those apart. I can't remember why, but so for my immunity, those I take in the morning, and then for my immunity, I take in the afternoon a zinc, and this is from Mark's too. It's around $6. Again, it's a gummy. This is from Aldi's, elderberry, and this also has vitamin C and zinc. So I get that from Aldi's. And then one more, I take a couple of these extra vitamin C, because vitamin C is good for your immunity, it's good for all sorts of things. And like I said, I like gummies, so that's what I take. And I've also started taking boron complex, so I take 2 of these in the morning. And this is for pain, and I do seem to have a little less pain lately, so I take that too. And that's about it. Sometimes I'll add some extra things. I'll take some turmeric or a different B complex. So those are the supplements that I take. And like I said, these have been working pretty well for me so far. And I don't know if it's the placebo effect, but I do seem to feel a little more energetic after a few days of taking my supplements. So as I grow older, that's one thing I want to continue to do. Make sure that I have my vitamins and everything. And when you have gut issues, sometimes it's your body doesn't absorb all the nutrients from the food that you eat. So I think it's important to supplement it somewhat. So what other things come up as you age? I think a lot of us, the way we spend money changes, at least it did for me. I want to make sure that I have a nice little cushion in case things come up, which you guys know that a lot of things have come up. So I've depleted a lot of that money that I had saved for retirement on doing all the home repairs. So now I'm going to slowly start building that up a little bit, but it's not my goal to accumulate a lot of wealth at this point. I could, I could learn about investing in Bitcoin and all that stuff, but it seems like a lot of work. So And investing was never my strong point. If I invested in something ever, it always tanked. So because of that, I sort of shied away from it. But a lot of people do really great with investing. I'm just not one of those people, unfortunately. And I even tried educating myself. I bought books on, how to buy stocks or whatever. But it just didn't work out for me. So my big thing now as I grow older is to just live within my means and have enough money for my, one of my viewers called it her guilty pleasures, and that's what I want too, like the cardigan that I bought, and the shawl that I bought. I'm not breaking the bank, but it makes me happy. So sometimes spending money makes me happy. That's all there is to it. I don't want to accumulate a ton of stuff because I'm trying to downsize and get rid of stuff. But I'm not in the mode of I have to pinch every penny. Now I am low income, but here where I live, the cost of living is not super high. My taxes are pretty high. My association fees keep going up. So, I do have to be more careful than I was before. And of course, we've got all the food costs and all that. But they'll come down again. We just need to be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day, so we need to be patient with that. And I know some people are all up in arms because of the tariffs. But, sometimes you have to sacrifice a little bit in order to get to where you want to go. So I think we're headed in a good direction when it comes to that. So, so another thing is when I was younger, I really hardly ever went to the doctor because I was very healthy and I didn't need to. And then when I got into my 40s and 50s, I started going for, a yearly physical and things like that. And now, when I have an issue, I go to the doctor. So, and not that I run to the doctor every time, but, I go for my Medicare physical every year. And then I try and go and see my specialist, whatever I see them for. I try and see them once a year and as needed. So that's one thing as you grow older that it's important to keep up with that because you might find a problem early on and you don't want to wait for any length of time before you catch a problem. So I think it's smart to, keep up with your medical exams. So another thing that I'm finding to be an issue as I grow older that never was an issue when I was younger is keeping my house clean. I like my stuff. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to apologize for it. I like my stuff, the stuff that I've accumulated over the years that I enjoyed and that I still enjoy, I'm not getting rid of. But I am getting rid of a ton of stuff that don't serve me well anymore, that doesn't serve me well anymore. So it's not like I can't get rid of anything. And I'm not emotionally attached to a lot of things. Like I don't have all my kids' Star Wars toys anymore and that. I got rid of that a long, long time ago. I kept a few mementos, but I have a lot of photographs that I love. I love to look at them every now and then. That gives me pleasure. So I keep that stuff, but I don't get emotionally attached to a lot of things. Maybe if there was something special from my grandma, I might keep that, but I don't have a lot of mementos from family members that have passed on either. I have some, but, not a ton. My big thing is still the clothes, getting rid of clothes. And I know some of you probably are rolling your eyes and saying, Ellen, you just bought us a cardigan. And I know, and that's okay with me. I don't mind spending money on something like that, but I'm also going to get rid of some things. So my wardrobe will be a flow of keeping and getting rid of and getting newer things, because I enjoy that too. I do like to look nice every now and then when I go somewhere, but I don't need the volume of clothes that I had and that I still have. So it's getting to be time to look through my closet again and do a lot of purging. I purged all my dresses, most of my skirts, just fancy, dresses, fancy blouses. I don't wear that stuff anymore. Now, when I was married, of course, we went out. We like to go out on the weekend and have a meal or whatever. But I don't do that anymore since I don't have a partner. And that's okay. I'm all right with that. So that's one thing that's changed as I've gotten older. And getting back to cleaning the house, I've gotten lightweight vacuums, rechargeable vacuums, so I don't have to keep plugging and unplugging the thing. And I can vacuum through my downstairs here in, no more than 10 minutes. And I also have tools with long handles. Everything that I try and buy now for cleaning is very lightweight, and it allows me to quickly do the cleaning that I need to do. So that's something that's changed. I didn't mind scrubbing and all of that, getting on my hands and knees in my younger days, but I can't do that anymore, and I'm okay with that. I'm happy to let that go. So another thing that I enjoy a lot as I get older are my small appliances, because they're easy to clean. I don't have to do a lot of scrubbing with them because they all, have coating on them. And I know, that's not good for you either. But sometimes life isn't good for you either. But, you do the best you can with what you've got and what you can deal with. So that's something that needs adjusting as we get older, is maybe the way we cook things. I use my air fryer a lot. I use the slow cooker a lot. And I have small slow cookers. I have a small rice maker that I like to use. And, just making meals for one person, it works for me. And if I have to get a little appliance, what a smaller appliance does for me, it helps me with portion control. So, when you have let's say a slow cooker and you've got like a 6-quart slow cooker, it's kind of hard to cook one meal in there. So having a smaller slow cooker works well. Now I do have one that I keep for when I have company, and I do make bigger meals every now and then, so that I do keep. But, a lot of that stuff I've let go. So another problem that I find that comes along as we grow older is social isolation. And sometimes we do it because that's what we want to do. We don't want to be out and about and running around. But sometimes if you can't drive anymore, or things come up where it's hard for you to get out of the house, especially in the winter. Like this morning, for instance, when I went out to get my garbage can, I noticed, because it's snowing again, the whole driveway is icy now. So you have to be very careful when you go out as a senior person, because the last thing you want to do is break something, because sometimes that can be a really bad thing. Some people never recover from that. So you have to be more careful. You have to be more careful when you go for walks, you have to pay attention to the sidewalk so that you don't trip and fall. I've known a couple of people that have really injured themselves because they weren't being aware around their environment, and they tripped on a sewer thing or something. And I know one woman that fell on her face and broke her jaw, and it took her quite a while to recover. So you have to be more careful as you get older, as opposed to, being carefree and just running about. And I mean, if I had to run from the zombie apocalypse, I'd be toast. There's no way I would get away in one piece. So we do have to make adjustments as we get older. Now, the other day when I was walking on the treadmill and my hip acted up, I thought, somewhere in the garage I bought a little cane. Not that I need one all the time, but I thought, where in the heck did I put that? So sometimes, just for safety reasons, you might need to walk with a cane, or you might temporarily need to have one of those little rolling walkers. My mom has 2 of them that she very conveniently keeps in the library because she doesn't want it out and about. So anyway, that's my mom. Speaking of my mom, I want to get into a little bit better shape. Now, my mom never exercised. She's a little thing, and she never exercised, but she was very, very active. She gardened. She tended the house. She was constantly scrubbing something. So those are all things that can help keep you in shape, too. So it doesn't always have to be a formalized exercise program. Just doing housework and doing it in a mindful way can keep you in good shape. So whatever you can do, just don't give up. Just keep going. So I have a little list here. Oh, I wanted to talk a little bit about how insecure the world has become. And, it really started about 8 years ago, I would say. No, maybe 12 years ago. Anyway, whenever it was, the world just went crazy. I mean, it just turned topsy-turvy and upside down. Good was bad and bad was good, and, not to get too political here, but it was crazy. Some of the things that came up were just absolutely crazy. So I think it's caused a lot of social anxiety for a lot of people, not just older people, but young people. A lot of them have a lot of mental health issues now. They suffer from anxiety. I feel really bad for this younger generation, because they've grown up with all this stuff. They see things on the internet that we weren't exposed to as the older boomer generation. We didn't have all that stuff. And, if you didn't want to keep on top of it, you just didn't turn the news on. But nowadays, it's like you can't even escape it. It's always in your face. So, and especially when the people in charge try to make you feel like you're the nutcase, it doesn't help. But it's caused a lot of food insecurity for people. All the talk of, price is this and the price is that. You just can't get away from it. And even just walking into a store and you're paying $9 for a dozen eggs, it's people tend to get a little nervous. And I think as an older person, sometimes your coping mechanisms aren't what they were when you were younger either. So I think that's one thing that a lot of older people, well, even younger people nowadays, struggle with depression because they feel hopeless. you know, so don't feel hopeless, you know, there's always something you can do. Make yourself a sanctuary, you know, don't be afraid to spend a couple bucks if you have them. You can go to, sometimes Walmart has oops paints where people mix the wrong color paint, and you can pick up some paint and, you know, freshen up your environment. Now, if you can't paint yourself, maybe enlist a family member to help you with that, or sometimes you can enlist students, so maybe contacting your senior center and seeing if they can get people to come in and help you. So, yeah, I mean, it does take a lot of adjustments as you grow older. But I think with a little bit of creativity, you know, you can get through it. So anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And one of my viewers was asking about, health-wise, was asking about varicose veins, which is something that a lot of us get as we grow older. Well, I've struggled with varicose veins most of my adult life. And they really went crazy with my last pregnancy. In fact, it was to the point where I had to have a specialty stocking made, and I wasn't even supposed to get out of bed before I put that stocking on. And it was very uncomfortable because I had to go through the summer with it. But so I decided after my daughter was born, I was going to have the surgery done, which I did. That was in the 70s, late 70s, I think it was, early 80s. So back then, it was a whole big thing. I had a high ligation done where they cut the saphenous vein in your leg, and then they inject you with saline. Back then it was saline. I think they use something else now. And they had this stocking, again, that they put over. It was like foam rubber. And then it was like a compression thing. But boy, was that uncomfortable. It was hot and uncomfortable. So I was very glad when I got that off. So that was my first time that I dealt with the varicose veins. So the second time I went in because I was getting veins again, and it was mostly in one leg, but it was in both legs. So the second time I went in, they did the ultrasound to check the veins and all that, and the person that was doing the ultrasound got this really funny look on her face. It's like, I'm thinking, okay, what? So here, I was one of the rare people that had two saphenous veins. So when they were checking, the saphenous vein was still intact. So I had to have that done again, another high ligation done, and this was on one leg. But this time, they injected the saline, and all I had to do was wear a compression stocking. I didn't have all that foam and stuff in there. So, and then, you know, again, the veins started coming back. So altogether, I had 3 treatments, 3 surgeries for that. And so I still have some varicose veins. They're not bad anymore. But I did have a blood clot in the one leg a couple years ago, and I had to have that treated again. So, but I've had a history of that a couple times after my pregnancies. It wasn't a deep vein thrombosis. It was more a superficial clot, but it was still something that needed to be taken care of. So, anyway, yeah, my circulation in my legs has not been good most of my adult life, but for the most part, my legs don't give me a problem. I don't have any neuropathy or any of that stuff that goes on. So anyway, those are all things that I can talk about that have changed in my life as I've grown older, and what I've done to try and counterbalance the problems. And so hopefully you guys are keeping up with your health care and adjusting to the changes in your body and in your mind. All I can suggest is stay away from a ton of the news, especially mainstream media. Stay away from that. Some of that is just downright nasty and evil. So if you really want to keep up with what's going on, get on some of these other platforms that have a little bit different take on the news. And it's all over the internet, you know, but stay away from mainstream media because they're fear mongers, and some of them are just not very nice people. Who is that? Rachel Maddow, that made the commentary on the little boy that wanted to be a police officer, and just vicious people, just nasty, vicious people. So stay away from that just for your mental health, and do the best you can. You know, cook yourself something, get out with your friends, have a little fun every now and then. If you can't get out, invite them to your house, have a ladies' tea, you know, lots of things. So, or keep in touch with people over the phone. You can do FaceTime with people so that you don't feel quite so isolated. So that's something that you can do, and make your environment inviting and comfortable. And don't have a bunch of garbage laying around in your house. You know, take care of the basics. Even if you don't get down on your hands and knees and scrub the floor anymore, you know, take care of the basics so that your environment is pleasant to be in. And you're not sitting there looking around going, oh my God, look at all that garbage, or look at all this, you know, keep up with your dishes. If you have a problem with that, consider downsizing your dishes and maybe have just a service for 2 or 4, whatever you need, and then wash your dishes as you use them rather than letting them pile up in the sink. Sweep your floor quickly, you know, even if you're in a chair, you can get a long-handled broom and scoot your chair around, get a chair with wheels, and scoot your chair around with your broom and clean that way. So lots of things you can do if you have a good imagination. See if you can if you can afford it, get a cleaning service, even if it's just once every month or two. I think it's worth spending the money. Now, I know not everybody can do that, but if you possibly can, hire your grandkids, give them $25 or whatever you can afford to come in maybe once a month and help you clean. So, yeah, use your imagination, and growing older can be a good experience. It doesn't have to be terrible. I mean, it's a privilege. In my opinion, growing old is a privilege. It's not one that everybody gets. So, all right, I've been chatting here for quite a while. Let's see, did I miss anything? Those are some of the challenges. You know, enjoy your money too. You know, don't always be hoarding it for the next generation or their kids or whatever. I mean, that's nice to leave your kids and grandkids an inheritance, but if it's at the cost of you doing without things that you want or need, I don't know. To me, that's because they're young. You know, they can still amass their own fortune if they so desire. So, all right, my friends, that's all I have for you today. I want to wish you abundant blessings. I love you guys. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. God bless you. and I'll see you next time.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, comment, and like. It helps my channel grow. Don't forget to share, and thanks for watching.